Puerto Rican kid, bald head, loves snakes, loves Blizzy, Sergio Chacon.
Yeah. What up, Pa?
Peace. Welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, aka Blizzy Chacon. That shit's whack. I mean, it's always gonna be Dirtbag Shit podcast. The DBS podcast. Peace and welcome to the DBS podcast. It's your boy Sergio Chacon, and this week I'm joined by my new good friend from Rhode Island, the owner of Steel Curtain Boxing, my man, Mr. Steve Reid. What's happening?
Thanks, Sergio. Thanks for having me, brother.
My pleasure. You drove in all the way from Rhode Island, the New England area. So just a quick background. We met just about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was on the road with Chris.
Yeah.
Every time I'm on the road with my man Chris, we hit up a gym. I hit up like 6 gyms. I came across yours. You were the first one to hit me up. I went to your gym, and bang, a relationship was formed.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. You guys walk in, the comedians, and I have a good friends in Rhode Island that are comedians, and so I like, okay, who are these guys? You think I would have Googled you before you came? Like, you
don't give a shit. It's like, yo, you got to pay before you walk in, all right? You got Venmo?
Yeah, I asked Chris. I says, oh, you a comedian too? It's like, it must have been a kick in the nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny because most people do like a little Google and stuff. And it's funny because I'll make sure that the people know it's Chris.
Yeah.
Because people get a kick out of it. Not that Chris is super famous, but a lot of people know him.
He's big. Like you said, the Cozy Grill, which you guys went to go eat.
A lot of the people knew him?
They were all sitting down there. When we had you guys checked in the Steel Curtain, and they're down there looking at their Instagram, and they're going, oh my God, Chris is down at Steel Curtain Boxing.
That's
and
right.
Then you
we
guys
were sitting right next to him.
Right next to
yes.
him. Yeah.
It's funny because I overheard them while I was eating my eggs. I had yolk dripping from my chin. And I was like, oh my God, that guy looks like the comedian. I just heard them like chit-chatting. I was just like, who are these kids? And sure enough, they were talking about Chris. Yeah. They like had their phone up and they were comparing. They're like, I think that's him. Like, oh my God.
Really? Yeah, that's funny.
And it turned out to be the owner's
son.
Son.
Yeah.
But I was so happy when you hit me up because when you visit like a different town, I'm always happy with just training. Yeah. But you specifically, your website caught my eye because you were very open about your sobriety. There was something about your energy, and just from the description on your website that grabbed me. And then you hit me up like with it was very prompt. You hit me right back, and we got along like immediately. I think we might have even talked on the phone. No, we didn't talk on the phone yet. We were just kind of exchanging notes via Facebook, and I was like, "This is a cool motherfucker." I knew you were cool.
I appreciate that.
And then we went to the gym, and you kicked our asses with a great workout.
That was good. Yeah, I don't want to tell you, but I seen the name Sergio, and I just needed a windfall of minorities in the gym. So.
You're like, oh, this is going to be good, man, because all I have is white boys at the gym. We got to sprinkle it up with some Latino spice.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of Puerto Ricans in Rhode Island?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
They didn't come to the show. They were all a bunch of young whites at the Rhode Island show.
Providence.
Great audience, man. Yeah. We had a ball out there.
I haven't been there in a while, but my boy Parada does the local shows in Rhode Island.
Okay.
What's her name? Stacy does a lot.
Stacy Kendro.
Yep, and so we do a lot of. I get a lot of groups together from the gym. We go to a lot of the local shows.
Dope.
Parada hit you up. Maybe you can jump on one of his shows.
Yeah. That's his first or last name?
Last name John Parada. Yeah.
John Parada.
The Comedy Connection.
Okay.
No, not Comedy. The Laugh Factory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you had a Steel Curtain Boxing gym?
I opened up, I had taken over a buddy of mine's gym about 3 years ago, and it was just desolate. The area really went downhill, and I'm big on the cast of characters I get, and I wasn't gonna have it in that. some gyms have their reputations and this and that, and I'm too old for nonsense.
Well, that's another thing that I noticed right off the bat. I walked into the gym, and everyone was so nice. Like, everybody that was taking your class was super down to earth and chill.
And I didn't mean it to be that way, but it's just the attraction that came in, and it is. Even if they're not, they usually don't last that long. They see, we see their true colors, and it's like, no, you need to go somewhere else. And you don't even have to ask them. They know that just the feel of uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
I try and be as real as I can. I told you, you said it yourself, my openness in recovery. And, I have in my gym a wall of people who had passed away from overdoses. I did work in the field of recovery, and it's real when some of the kids who are acting up, and I just tell them, I don't want you on that wall.
You walk them to the.
I walk them right to that
collage.
Yep, and tell them, this is real. Oh, I smoke weed. Yeah, well, you know what? They started off smoking weed too. I can tell you 99% of them started off smoking weed, and acting the fool. And not that, that's a whole different, the weed thing. And is it legal here? I don't even know.
It's legal.
I smelled it down.
Yeah. Everyone lights up around here.
Yeah.
It became legal like 6 hours ago. I mean, it just happened.
Really?
Yeah, it just happened. I mean, a lot of shit is happening. Cuomo just resigned. Yeah, he just resigned. He got like 15 fucking allegations pending.
Wow.
Yeah.
See,
I got a lot of shit, because I was actually not. I was a fan of Cuomo when the COVID first happened.
Right.
Because when we're going to some shit that we know nothing about, you want leadership.
Yeah.
And he was like saying some shit that I was like, okay, that sounds like a plan. And then he comes out with a book 2 days later. I'm like, yo, did you have this shit planned? He came out with a book about COVID. That was weird. There's a whole controversy surrounding the elderly homes.
The deaths,
the deaths. I know very little about it. It's under investigation.
Yeah.
But yeah, weed is legal. Cuomo's out. A lot of shit is changing.
They just had a thing on yesterday with Giuliani about a 15-year-old girl back in the day or something. I'm like, these guys just can't keep, leave enough alone. It's like, it's crazy world we live in.
Yeah, no, the Cuomo thing, the fact that he resigned, there might be some other shit that's about to pop off.
Definitely. You know that.
He's just trying to go, okay, let me just tiptoe out of here.
It's the thing. It's like, don't they know they're going to get caught? Like that, that's a narcissistic, we spoke on the phone about that narcissistic behavior. It's like, they really feel they're untouchable. Yeah. And the ego kicks in. It's like, it's when I was using, you know what I mean? It's, you don't think you're going to get caught. You don't think your marriage is going to go to pieces. It puts you in a whole different mindset. And the sad thing is, these people don't have drugs to blame it on.
Yeah.
Well,
the power is their drug. The abuse of power.
Exactly.
Yeah. I believe that's it.
Yep. But
were you using as a young man, or was that something that you kind of got into later?
I started using.
I love that New England accent. I started. I can't wait till he says fart. Fart. Oh shit! I got fart. I can't fart on camera, right?
I drive a car. Yeah. I had something happen to me when I was 10. I was molested by a cousin, and pretty much changed the whole, direction of my life. I kept it a secret, and so when there was something to fall back on, to alcohol and the drugs, it was right there. It was that was my go-to. Oh my God, this makes me feel good, and I can bury it. So that was around 12, 13 years old. I started drinking. And
I started around that same age. I remember the confidence it gave me.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh man, I don't have to think too much before I speak.
Yep. And yep.
People are laughing at what I'm doing.
Yep. The Budweiser balls, it's like I could take anybody on. And, at the time I had to prove that, I wasn't, because I got molested, I had to go out and, screw every girl. It just, not that I had the best role models either growing up.
So it was a collection of different things, but that one was like a highlight.
That was the highlight. And of course I walked into my first boxing gym when I was 13.
Wow, so there's a lot of different things
Whole
that
lot
changed the
going
trajectory of how you look at the world.
I was 7 of 8 kids. And, the alcoholism ran rapid in my house. I really wanted to try and get my dad's attention too with that, going into that boxing gym. My dad was this little Irish, barroom brawler and, tough guy. And I figured I'm number 7, he's fucking dead tired from, the first 6 and trying to get it. It didn't work, but I ended up liking the sport, as you know. And I never, I was in and out of gyms. I didn't have a whole lot of, staying with it. I knew I loved it so much, but it was crazy that being in the ring, getting punched in your head was my safe place, from my household. And, and as well as I do, it's a high all by itself.
It's one of those things that I think when a lot of people are first introduced to it, they find that, wow, I'm not thinking about anything else but boxing.
Yep.
Like, you got to be so present.
You are on your fight or flight. Yeah. And
if it just does give you that high. You're using every part of your body. You're using your mind. You got to think.
Yeah. And I sucked at everything else. So, I actually, I played baseball before that, but, I sucked
at baseball too.
Oh my God, I don't think I ever hit a ball.
Yo, I think I was the reason why we lost. Well, I don't think. I know we were the reason why we lost the Pee Wee League championships. I was in right field. Nothing happens in right field, Steve.
Yeah, I couldn't hit a fastball.
I was sitting like my legs crossed, picking daisies. picking like three-leaf clovers and all. Oh, let me see if I can find a 4-leaf clover. It's like the 12th game of the year.
Don't hit it to me. Don't hit it to me.
All 12 games in the season, the ball never came my way. Boop.
Last one.
It's like 6-3 if I would have caught it 2 outs. That would have been. It hit the tip of my Dale Murphy glove.
Murphy glove.
Yeah, my hat was like that. I was like, oh. That doesn't affect me anymore. I don't think about that anymore.
My therapist said I'm over it. Yeah, so, I worked at a nightclub when I was 15, parking cars. I no license, the good fellas, this is the life. The chaos. I was coming in at 5 a.m. Got introduced to cocaine. And
at 15, at the club.
Yep. And that's what they would pay, when they park the cars. Say, Steve, there's a line in there for you. It's like, oh, I'm one of the guys.
Wow.
Now I got that false ego going. It's like, and the thing is, I had someone come into my life at this time and really looked out for me. It was a sergeant on our local Providence Police Department, and he really looked out for me, helped me make my first communion, my confirmation. And I really, and I know how you feel about cops, but I really wanted
he went down the Instagram feed.
No, I was watching you and Nickel, whatever.
Oh, yeah, right. So Nichols was a guest on the episode 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. And, but that's what, I always had that self-thing for justice. And because it wasn't, I grew up without it. And I always took on that role of being, they actually used to call me Superman, because Steve Reeves was actually one of the Supermans, and my name was so close, Steve Reid. And
wait, Steve, he was one of the Superman characters, actors?
He was one, yeah.
I thought it was Christopher Reid.
Yeah, but Steve Reeves was a bodybuilder way back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Reid, what a sad story.
I know.
Yo, and I had, man, when I first started comedy, that happened. And I was like, and the Superman movie came out shortly after that.
Yeah.
Remember the new Superman movie?
Yeah.
And so the joke was, oh, has anyone seen the new Superman movie? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, it's a terrible ending. He falls off a horse. We all know how that ends. I said, it's a terrible ending. He falls off a horse. And I would just stay like this. It would kill, though. I think my timing was better 20 years ago or 15 years ago whenever I started. That's dirtbag shit, right?
Yeah, that is.
We all know what happens at the end of that story.
Yeah.
So go ahead. So,
I did. I wanted to be but now I'm, shuffling. Oh, this little gangster life looks good, because the wise guys and everything else down there. And
this is all in Rhode Island.
All Rhode Island. And I'm getting into my, because I started boxing, I started like banging out guys, it was like that felt good too. It was like that power thing. And when I got into a car one night with a couple of kids, and they decided to go rob this kid. And
how old were you, like around 15, 16?
No, this time I just turned 18. This is what screwed me on the police thing. And grabbed my first felony. And I was like, well, there we go. That pretty much just made me where I wanted to go. Not that, I had good jobs. I really did have good jobs. I had, lousy work ethics because of, drugs and alcohol. But, I could bullshit my way into a place and work. I worked in the optical field. I was an optician. So I worked for a lot of eye doctors, but it was, I used their supplies to, make money.
Yeah. So you would lift some of the material and stuff.
I'd say, give me a prescription. I'll get you a pair of eyeglasses.
Yeah. Every day I'm hustling.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of eyes, real quick, because I suffer. I suffer from the sporadic thoughts. My wife, tell me if you heard of this, being an optometrist. Optician. I knew I was saying that wrong. That's why I looked at you. I was like, optician. So there's no such word as optometrist?
Yeah, that's the doctor.
Listen, if someone's a flight attendant and they're my friend, they're the fucking pilot. Okay? I was trying to hook you up.
Oh, I see.
Listen, I used to work for Petland Discounts. You know what I really was? I was a vet. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Steve. Come on, walk with me. So my wife just recently got her eyes done. She couldn't see well, so she was complaining about it. And she says, I did this research, and in Prague, they could lift the lens out and replace it with an artificial one.
It's a cataract surgery.
Yeah, so it cost like $20,000 to do it in the States. She flew over to Prague, got it done for like $1,500.
No shit.
Yeah. Now her eyes are cross-eyed and one blinks like this. It looks like one of those Hello Kitty hands, kind of going up and down. But it was a good deal, and she could see clearly when the eyes open.
Yeah, it's all about the thrift shopping.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So, did you ever had to do any sort of work like that? Like, what was the extent of what you did?
I actually worked for a surgeon also, an eye surgeon.
So it was mostly the glasses and stuff.
No, but then I was an ophthalmic tech, which we would prep them for the exams, dilate their eyes, put the drops in that they needed, which is pretty, intense. I mean, you put the wrong drop in, and you can literally, like, blind somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But, I needed to be challenged. Like, I actually started working in a wholesale lab for those glasses, and I needed to know where they go from there. Okay, where do they go? Then they go to the doctor's office. So I had to go work for a doctor's office. And LensCrafters, I think, was my first job doing. And then I ended up working for a tech, but I always needed to be challenged. Like, I needed to know more.
Smart guy. That's what smart people are. Curious.
Yeah, I guess. Can't do shit now because my fucking short-term memory from getting punched in the head.
Yeah, it's okay, man. You only called me Krista 2 hours ago.
I know.
Hey, Chris, work the double M bag. I was like, Chris, you mean golden retriever head? Yeah, he's at the hotel. He didn't make it to today's class. Because we did 2 classes in Rhode Island. Well, I signed up for 2 classes.
Yeah.
And Chris was too much of a party boy the night before.
A heavy head.
So, okay.
Yeah, so that was, like I said, I had got married at 18, had my first kid. This poor girl went through so much.
You put her through it.
Yeah. They tell you, you take that hostage. And, yeah, she... I have 2 boys today. 2 beautiful boys. One doesn't talk to me anymore, but, I my own doing. But I always look back at, I just got off the phone with my brother when I ended up in Brooklyn before I came to Manhattan. I went to 21st and 5th in Brooklyn.
Yes, I gave you the address. Of course, I wouldn't include the zip. Why would I be thorough and detailed?
GPS wanted to play a game.
Yeah, and you ended up going to this address where Sound Lounge is located, but in Brooklyn. Yeah. And I said, I've done that shit before.
Each borough probably has a 21st and 5th.
Right.
I could have ended up worse, So I was talking to him, and we in recovery. I did a lot of work, inner work, and that's because I had a great sponsor. This man was at peace. When you looked at him, it was like, I want that. He had like 50 years of recovery. I'm like, 50 years, really? Like, things you never dreamed of. Like, does he even remember drinking at one time?
Right.
But it was a hellhole. I mean, in and out of jail, doing stints, I always caught 3-day weekends.
Yeah.
Always got busted on a Friday night. Fucking Monday was a holiday.
That's the worst getting locked up on a Friday.
It's like my weekend didn't even start yet.
Fuck. So what you would do? You would do like just weekends, or did you ever do like you did? Some time?
I did some time. I did
like skid. That's what I learned on a previous episode. They're called skid bids, right? Like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Not even that. The thing was having that that officer became my godfather because my confirmation and first.
So the sergeant used to hook you up.
Well, yeah, he became a lieutenant. And
that's a good person to know.
And it was like I used it as a credit card, a criminal credit card. You know what I mean?
But you were probably getting busted for drugs and shit like that.
You know what? I never got a drug, but let me back up. Yeah. I did get pinched one time with a good amount of coke, but the sergeant actually let me go. Not it was another sergeant, and that would have been. I never had a drug bust.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
But all the times
all
locked up.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Related to.
I had crank phone calls because I was seeing this married woman, and
you got locked up on prank calling.
No. She wasn't married. She just split up from her husband, and I called the house, and her son answered, but the soon-to-be ex-husband was there. And I guess he got pissed, and he actually called the cops on me and said I was crank phone calling the house.
Like you're harassing them.
Yeah, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Oh, shit. And you got arrested for that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I got a nice little impersonator, police officer on my record. I looked like a cop back in the day. I mean, I played that role.
You still could go pass as a cop.
So
like if you went, sir, can I have a word with you? I'll be like this.
I got carded for coke one time. Dude, I was 17. And police officers had they had a brown uniforms, and I used to have a brown leather jacket. No, not meaning it, but and all the drug.
You know what you were doing subconsciously. You know what you're not supposed to do with this brown leather. Either they're gonna think I work for UPS. Fucking, I'm part of the Rhode Island Warwick Police Department.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all the cops used to have their names in the police arrest things. And the kid actually carded me. He goes, "Oh man, let me see your ID," because if it was one of those names in the paper, it would have popped.
Wow!
I was like, "Son of a bitch!" I've never heard of that. So, but yeah, I had some great. One night was, I love this one. One night I was driving. We were going to a party in Warwick, and I hated driving in Warwick because their cops were always like the snooty cops. Like, you didn't want to.
They were like pain in the ass.
I
and
didn't
they'll
know
pull you
any
over.
of them. That was number one, and getting out of a jam was
Yeah,
that
it wasn't
much
gonna be
worse.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're driving, and I have no license. That was another reason why I didn't want to. But I rear-ended his pickup, like it just tapped him. So the guy gets out, and I says, "Well, there's no damage. You know, it was a real steel, like a homemade steel bumper on it." So he goes, "Well, give me $100 and I'll let you go." And I'm like, "No, I'm getting really, you know, I forget that I don't have a light. Now I'm getting all shitty with him. Like, fuck you, I ain't giving you $100."
Yeah, so that's a weird thing, right? A lot of times, a little fender bend, a little tap, people will ask for like cash money. Yeah, give me $200 and, you know, we'll keep it.
I probably would have gave it to him
Yeah.
if I had it, but he kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, yeah.
So
he
I
had
said,
this air about him.
yeah, that's what it was in here. And cell phones had just come out, and he had this fucking, you could see him when he's chasing me, you know, with the fucking big box thing on his ear, and I'm like, son of a bitch, he's gonna. So all of a
so you
sudden,
just ran off.
I said, no, screw. I said, I'm not paying you.
And he went in his glove, he went in his trunk, got his cell phone.
his fucking thing. Yeah, Reid O'Reilly. And all of a sudden, cops fucking box me in.
God damn, quick,
And I'm like,
fast.
son of a bitch. And oh no, we were going for a little bit. And so my buddy I pulled over. He screwed. He went to the party, and we're sitting there. So the guy's kid was in the truck, and he said, "Now I had a little bruised eye from sparring a couple of nights earlier," and so the guy goes, so the cop goes, "Why'd you leave?" I said, "He fucking hit me."
Oh, shit.
I says, "Now it just turned from a hit and run to an assault on me." So I'm like, "Yeah." So
Just flipping the tables.
so they're questioning the kid.
Turning the tables around.
Yeah, they're questioning the kid, and the kid says, "No." I said, "Of course the kid's gonna fucking lie." So they pop my trunk, all my fucking boxing equipment. I'm like, son of a bitch. I go, the cop comes up to me and goes, "You wouldn't be a boxer, would you?" And you could see it was like kind of faded because it was a couple of days old. But it was good. It was good for the moment. It was,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
from the hip.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And they knew, like, yeah, that doesn't look like a fresh bruise.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you would have got that bruise now, like, it would last for 4 months. Because that's what it is. As we get older, if we got a black eye right
I haven't
now,
had one, and I don't, like,
well, you're not getting touched up. But if you would
I
say,
get hit.
yeah, but you're not getting hit. Like, if you got a black eye, Steve, we're at the age that a black eye will last for 6 months. It would just move in different parts of our face.
Yeah.
Because we're older now. But what's funny thing about a black eye is that at first you're like, yeah, I earned this in sparring.
That's
And
what they were medals.
yeah, they were medals, but a week later, like, when's this shit gonna go away? Because it gets like a
And it
fucking
gets
yellow.
the jaundice. Yeah, it's like, oh shit. am I
Yeah.
sick?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck, I'm tired of it. And then you think about the guy who did it to you a week later. When it first happens, you're like, yeah,
That's right, yeah.
you're fresh, you go out that night, feel
Adrenaline's
good.
going, yeah.
Yeah, but then 5 days later, you're like, this fucking thing, you're putting
Yeah.
shit on it to try to
Yeah.
get a little.
Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
But yes.
So did you get locked up for that one?
Oh yeah. But that actually, there was a judge that night because on the key. Oh, when I did get locked up they were usually for like a capital offense warrant or something. So, if the justice of the peace didn't come, even if they did, the
So
charge was too
you just
bad.
accumulated a bunch of these things. You get tired
Bunch of
living that
bullshit.
life too.
Yep.
Just a bunch of bullshit.
Yep. And I ended up winning the Golden Gloves. Struggled. I was smoking a half pack of cigarettes a day.
And so you were smoking,
I was
partying,
smoking.
drinking.
If they did drug tests, I would have never. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was-
and then fighting and competing.
yeah, and it was in Lowell, Massachusetts, where Mickey Ward was from. So it wasn't the easy.
No, man, this is like,
Yeah.
New England, man. Tough
Yeah.
fucking guys from Lowell and shit.
Yep. And they did. I had knocked out I think he was a Vermont cop the week before the finals, and the kid and I was beat up. I was so fucking beat up, like just my body was toxic, all the toxins and everything. It just hurt, and
You remember feeling like that during the
Oh
whole.
my God, it was just like
How many fights did you have? So there's the Golden Gloves.
I think it was 5 in this tournament.
And
Which,
then- and-
that
and
was
the-
big back then. Like now, you're lucky to even. I can't even get my guy a fight. The Golden Gloves is the 22nd of August, and there was a time when you just showed up and you fought off each other. Now it's like, oh, well, who you find out? It's like a pro fighters like, oh, my guy's not gonna fight that guy. Just show up, and that's we didn't, which was big in Lowell because I didn't know any of them guys anyways. So it wasn't that you didn't know. You.
That's the weird thing about amateur fighting is that if you're competing a lot in a tournament, you don't know who you're fighting. You show up there, and you may have an idea. They might give you a bracket, like you're fighting this guy. That guy might not pass his medical or something. Then you got to fight someone else, and it's done. Right.
And then you're looking at because you don't even know who the guys are.
Yeah, your guys are all in the same room getting
warming
wrapped up.
Yeah, it's like, it's pretty. It's intense.
Yeah.
But you read that thing at the gym. The weight in the dressing room before a fight is enough to turn any man. And it's true. My man John Scully from Connecticut came up with that quote, and it's I love it. It's when I seen that quote, it was like liberating because it was like, holy shit, I'm not the only one.
Say the quote again.
The weight in the dressing room before a fight is enough to give any normal man. I can get it.
Because that's a great quote.
It is. You remember seeing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I shut my phone off too. But we'll get
That's
it.
okay. But so, but you're gonna get the quote. But basically, it's like the weight in the dressing room before a fight is enough to bring out the honesty in a man.
It is, and it's okay. It's okay to be.
And it's always it's okay to be scared.
It's
and,
okay.
Just go through it.
And that's what the liberating part was. It was like
you didn't feel alone with those thoughts.
Exactly. I'm thinking,
and that's an analogy. What was that?
You're thinking, I'm a loser. I shouldn't be.
Yeah. I'm a coward. But you realize that no, everyone feels that way, and that analogy could be applied into many areas in life.
Yep. And that's just it. It's like it's okay to be. See, we're men. We don't want to be vulnerable. That's basically a downfall. Also with substance abuse, the vulnerability. We don't want to be vulnerable. So we'd rather mask it with a drug, and.
But then you find that there's strength in that.
Yeah, it's so freeing.
And how many people can relate to that? How many people are like, "Oh my God, I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. Jesus, I was feeling the same way."
Yep, and that's.
When did you have enough? When what was it like? I'm done with this shit. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. When did you decide to get clean? Or were you forced to? You can't be forced to. You gotta make a decision, right?
You can't. Like I've been in and out of AA my whole life. There it is. I'm gonna skip back to this. The weight in the dressing room before a professional boxing match, that last hour, could be enough to strip a man who never boxed before whatever pride, desire, and heart he thought he had. That's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's real. But, I in and out of, I always knew I had a problem. You know what? Looking at my family, it's like, had to have a. It's like
what's the relationship now with the family? Are there people still? Is it tough because maybe some people haven't chosen the route you chose, and it's just like there's a disconnection? Or
me and my little brother are the closest. My older brothers, they lived a different life. I looked up to my brothers when I was younger, and they're my brothers, and I love them. But there was so much trauma that happened in my family that, it was just a mess. My old man was a bully. Just the trauma he did took it out. He put my brother through doors.
Did the older ones get it the worst?
Yeah, they pretty much got it the worst. I mean, here I am, I didn't want to be like my father, and I raised my boys almost the same way. And, that's a big part of my shame, it's tough. But, that was a big thing. Like I said, I was in and out of in and out of AA. I actually went to Edge Hill, Newport. It was this big country club. I got into a fist fight with my father.
What?
Yeah, and he would verbally abuse my mother. My mom had a nervous breakdown when I was like 9 or 10.
Jeez.
And I just had enough of it one night, and
How old were you at the time?
I was about 20.
Oh yeah, you had the frame already.
Yeah,
you were a young man.
Yep. And
who knew how to fight.
Yeah, and and I remember him being on the floor looking up at me, and I'm like, this is where it was at. This is where it took me. And he ended up going to get up to this Edge Hill place. And I followed him up there after because I wanted my dad back. Again, I wasn't up there for I was up there for all the wrong reasons.
Wait, what do you mean he went up to Edge Hill?
He went up to get recovery.
Oh,
yeah. My dad, he died in recovery. He had 17 years, I think, when he passed away. And but that was it. I went up there for all the wrong reasons. I was like meeting the chick on the next floor in the stairwell. It was scumbag shit.
Yeah.
And dirtbag shit. And
but when you say he died in recovery, was he getting clean during that time?
He had 17 years.
17 years, got it.
In recovery. So when he passed, he was sober.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I was 2 weeks out of that place. I was back doing coke again. I just had we just had our second child, and it was I just feel so bad for that infidelity stuff. It was almost like, and I'm not making any excuses whatsoever, but it was taught. I watched my brothers, and because of what happened to me, that's the road I didn't know what a healthy relationship was. And it's a shame because I see so many people today that they're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially in the program. You got these two people in AA. Hey, let's they got like 2 days clean, and they're in love. It's like, yeah, you don't want to go there.
Yeah. People get very obsessive, right?
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah, and it's it's like you're trying to find yourself.
The worst thing you could do, I think, when you're in recovery is latch onto someone in a non-platonic way.
That's it. And again, what do you know about relationships? You don't even know about life yet. And hell, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, in and out. I ended up leaving my wife for this set of tits and long legs.
That sounds very Warwick, Rhode Island. Yeah, for a set of tits. Yeah, I used to work with a construction worker who talked like that. I was like, I was the apprentice in a construction. Scabs. None of us were union, right?
Yeah,
so it's like this guy would ask me. Well, I would get the coffee and shit. I was an apprentice for like 3 years. I never moved up the ladder. And this guy I would say, "Hey, Terry, you want coffee?" And he said, "You going to the store?" He said, "Better yet, get me a set of tits on the register." A set of tits on the register. Make sure she's blonde too. And they were like that. Every time I asked him if he wanted coffee, that's what he would say. He said, "Give me a blonde on the register."
Yeah. And it was probably the most toxic. It was a 12-year prison sentence being with this girl. We were both sick individuals.
Yeah, so she was drinking.
No, she didn't need to be. She was just crazy.
She had some other shit
crazy.
going on, yeah.
And
sometimes those crazy ones, man.
Oh man,
they'll let you. Because intimately it can be good. It's like when you're intimate with someone like that. Sometimes the sex is like this. it's weird because I've been with crazy chicks. I'm like, everything about this sucks, but the sex is kind of wild because you kind of hate each other, so you kind of like take it out.
There's a name for that.
There's a name for that, right?
Yeah, I'll think.
You know, it's almost I was with somebody.
Eroticized sex.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like she might have been a racist.
Nice.
She might have not liked my people, but the fact that she allowed me in, I was like, oh, this is kind of hot.
Yeah,
Because one time she said something along the lines like, you know, when you're on top of me, it feels like forbidden, like you're not supposed to be there. I was like, what? Bing!
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, like,
well,
maybe she did that on purpose.
You know, that was the big sell too when I was growing up. Like, I was helpless to help my mom. You know, my dad was, you know, an asshole, this and that, and, you know, so I had to go fix every woman. See, that's what happens. It's like, you know, I couldn't control that, so let me go after this crazy chick and fix her.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's a big, and I see that, like I said, I worked in recovery, and it's, you know, it's a big tell. You know, it's like, okay, this is what, you know, I would notice a lot of things. Like that's what helped me out a lot in life. I was a 9th grade dropout. I didn't get my GED till 2006. You know, and that's... But
2006, that's when I started comedy. So while you were getting your GED,
yeah.
I was on stage for the first time with hair on. Well, not hair on, it was real hair. I didn't have a toupee, but I was like that. Isn't that funny how life works?
Yeah.
You were probably in Rhode Island, getting a certificate,
Yeah.
and I was on stage for the first time like this. Hi, guys.
How old were you?
Like 26
Oh.
when I started. I can't believe it's 14, 15 years ago already. Damn, time goes by fast.
Yeah.
You gotta enjoy it.
I know.
Be present. Love it. It happens fast. Don't fuck it up.
They and then I decided that I would rather be homeless than be with this woman. I packed a bag, and
I picture like a bag
it was this huge,
with a blanket and a stick, like the cartoons.
I wish it was this huge ass suitcase with wheels on. Thank Christ.
Did you have your headgear in there? Did you bring your gloves and bag?
No, I had to leave a bunch of stuff there, but my brother ended up picking it up for me. And in a backpack, and I went down to a place called Crossroads. It's like, you know,
Like a shelter?
Yeah, it's like the worst of the worst people are down there. It's so. Yeah, I worked security down there when I was.
But what is it exactly?
It's basically, what do they call it? Crossroads. It's like for transients. It used to be traveler's aid. It used to be, I guess every city would have a traveler's aid where, you know, you get caught up in the city, they'll help you. But this became just a homeless hangout for services and stuff like that.
But it was an actual building? Or
it was a
like
building.
It
was yeah, they bought one of the old YMCA's. And
it was like jail,
it
probably.
was so unsafe.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
right?
because you can get stabbed, and you know. It's
And there was a lot of shit going on there.
There was a lot of shit.
Movies and shakers. The thing is, with a thing like that, you don't have COs. You have like a
one security guy.
Yeah.
And
at the front,
I was actually
overworked, underpaid.
Yep. Yeah, and he's not gonna.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Nope. And
he shouldn't. I mean, he should, but it's just too overwhelming.
Yeah, like what are you really gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
You know what I mean? You'll get shot.
Yeah, what to do with a fucking shank, scabies, and one sock?
Yeah, and I was down there. Now I was bouncing. They had what they call the overflow in Cranston, Rhode Island, and that's where guys, when they got released from prison, and like the sex offenders couldn't find a place, so they'd stay there. It's the overflow. It's about 200 beds. And it's worst of the worst. I would go there and like tie my bag to my wrist, so if anybody pulled it, you know, on it. I'd sleep under the underpass over by 95, close to where, because it was safer. And one afternoon, I was bombed. I had my head on the table at this place, and the Spanish kid is banging on a table, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, unbeknownst, I didn't know it was time to play cards at 1:00 in the afternoon. So, and I just looked at him and I said, "This isn't going to turn out the way you want it to." And I put my head back down. And I came to a realization that I'm going to die down here. And I said, you know what? If I do, it's not going to be by their hands. And I had just filled a 3-month supply of trazodone sleeping pills. And we were waiting for the van. The van would take us to the overflow. That's where I planned on going that night. And I started taking the pills. And I remember it was a cold, rainy night. And I was waiting for the doors to open. I could smell the stink from I hadn't showered in weeks. And I remember I was wearing a leather coat that my brother had given me, and I just wanted to go in and die.
Shit.
And I remember it was like, and that was my plan. I just wanted to go in and die. I had taken, we had found out later, I'd taken 67 of the 90 pills. And the doors open. I went in. I put my bags under. I didn't even tie them on. I just wanted to die. And I can't tell you the dreams I had that night. I did like a glowing. There was I actually went to a medium lady, and she goes, you were in the afterlife once. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. If you believe in that shit.
Yeah.
And so they wake you up with a whistle, and this place is a big gymnasium. And that fucking whistle went off the next morning, and I was so fried. Like I was shaking. I had to ask the guy in the next bunk to help me go get my little rip tick for the bus because they shoot you back downtown.
You like comatose. You couldn't
I was
barely
a mess.
move.
I was a mess. So he's holding my hand, and I'm thinking, all right, you know what? I've never done this before. Well, maybe I'll die on the bus. And, well, maybe I'll be in the paper now. And this is, the sick ego shit. And, of course, the bus pulls downtown to Kennedy Plaza. And I'm like, fuck, I'm cursing God again. And my buddy in the next month helped me to some human service office. And there was this black woman behind the desk, and she goes, I remember it, she goes, "You okay, baby?" In that voice. And I said, no. I said, I tried to kill myself. And she goes, I have to call a rescue. And I said, I gave it my best shot. So it was too late to pump my stomach. I'm in the emergency room.
Shit.
And the doctor had counted the rest of the pills in. He goes, Mr. Reid, he said, I have no scientific reason why you're standing here in front of me today.
Strong.
He said, you should be dead.
Strong like bull.
Fucked up my memory, I think. And so, of course, the ego kicked back up. And, can't kill me, right? And I walked out of that exam room, and my oldest son, who works at the hospital, to this day has no reason why he walked through the ER that day. He worked on the other side of the building. And we were like face to face, and I just broke down. Because I just realized that I just tried to take this boy's father away from him. And, as much as I didn't like my father, I wouldn't want to see that. And so that was a real big part of the surrendering. And they found me a homeless shelter in what they call South County in Rhode Island. And it's a really nice homeless shelter. There was 14 of us. Actually, they sent me to a detox. I had to detox for 8 days. And first time in my life, I'm scared because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, where my life is going to go. And they found me a homeless shelter, and I was there. And you had 3 months to, grants for 3 months, and I started putting my life back together. I went to work at a Stop and Shop,
So building it up slowly.
market. Yep. I mean, here I am, put my life back together on, minimum wage, part-time, And the woman who ran the front end, I was a cashier. The woman who ran the front end, she to this day, she when she told the story, she goes, "Yep, you walked in with your little backpack, and you said I'm homeless and I need a job," and it was the truth. And she gave me the chance. I'm a felon. I'm a convicted felon, and because her son was in treatment at the time, she kind of had that.
She was compassionate.
Yeah, compassionate, and so. Funny thing is, here I am putting, trying to put my life back together, and I'm cashiering, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, there's fucking people robbing this store like crazy. And that was a no-no with her. Like I said, Maz, did you realize, like,
so
people
you're talking
robbing
about
you?
people go in and
Just
steal?
stealing. And I'm
And it's
like,
blatant?
I had that eye, because go figure. Because all of a sudden I can walk on water, and because I don't do that anymore. So it was funny. Like, I mean, that's what I would work. They put me down at those self-scan registers, and I'm like, people would come with their little gun, and like, I mean, I went against every protocol that Stop and Shop had. If they knew what I was doing, how I was torturing these people, like.
Like how so? What are you doing?
They would scan the gun where the order would come up, and I'd look, and it was to be like $27, and their fucking carriage is overflowing with steaks and everything else. I'm going, I had to be like, excuse me, ma'am, I don't think this is right. And then we'd take them to another register, and there's like $400 worth of shit in that carriage. Wow. And this is a ritzy area. Yeah. It's not like we're working in the city, and these people need, these people coming from Block Island go, I'm like...
The stealing.
Yeah, so...
Because it was so easy for them.
Yeah, and it is. They just made it easy for them. But I was good. I was good at, when people walked in, I just had them pegged. I said, you're gonna rob this place. And
what is it? How can you tell? What's the disposition? What are the characteristics?
We grew up in the hood.
But give me one that you spot right on.
They don't belong. If they, they
don't give you eye contact.
That or they will give me eye contact. Or they ask too many questions. And it's like the cocky eye contact. It's like, you're not gonna catch me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get you. So I kind of got a little reputation there. I was like the mayor of Stop and Shop.
Yeah, you were hemming them up.
I was hanging them up. The loss prevention guy, which is kind of comical because he was like fucking 7'2", like nothing, like sticking out like a sore thumb. But him and I, we hit it off, and he'd be like, "Hey, Steve, I got someone," and I'd help make the apprehension. See, the cop thing came back full circle. Yeah. But I actually had a car dealer. The guy that owned a car dealership actually gave me I got my license back. I had gone back to school for substance abuse and mental health. And, and it was kind of, I loved what I wanted to do, but I really hadn't done all the work I needed to do. And that's one of the things that I see today where people jumping into, we had these things called recovery coaches in Rhode Island. And they're certified, state certified in this, and I became one. And I moved up the ladder fast. I went to work for a recovery community center. And it was an uncomfortableness there. Not that I was cocky that I didn't belong, but I wanted more. And I wanted to go back to school, become a regular therapist and this and that. But I remember the director of the recovery community center, and I said
that you were in.
He hired me, and
So how long would you say before you, like, so you go in that
was
time?
2009. I ended up homeless. By 2000,
and that was it. That was
12, yeah.
Wow.
2012. I was homeless for about 8 months. 2012, I went to work at my first rehab. I went to work for place called the Phoenix House. I worked.
Yeah, I've
third
heard of
shift.
Phoenix House.
Yeah, they're all over the
Yeah,
country.
yeah. It's like it's like the
Chain. Yeah,
yeah, it's like
Kentucky
the
Fried
improv
Chicken.
comedy club for for recovery.
Yeah.
Like, oh, go to
Well,
Phoenix.
they send all the inmates there, and it's a nice place. But it's I always have problems with the recovery part of it because, especially now with the fentanyl, it's you got all these people, these advocates, and everything else putting these Band-Aids on this wound that obviously needs surgery. And, you're not going to stop it. Like I had made a post about a month ago of all the fentanyl comes in from China and through Canada, and it's coming through, how do you stop that? You're not going to, it's not being made in our bathrooms. And until something like that gets done, until our politicians and everyone else takes care of that, you're really not going to get a good handle on this, the overdoses and everything. They're just getting worse.
You heard of Dr. Carl Hart? I've been bringing him up like sporadically on different episodes. He's a guy who thinks that people should have the right to test their own drug. There should be stations where because people are going to use drugs.
They're going to use it.
They're going to use it.
They are going to use it.
So why not know what you're taking? That's his argument, and I think it's a radical.
It is radical
because he admits that he uses recreationally, and he uses pure drugs, and that's why he's fine. Not everyone will be fine. We all know that,
right?
But he knows the dosage.
There was research that it did work in certain places.
Yeah. Different
I
parts
don't
of
know.
Peru.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of morons walking around. And of course, it's going to get abused like anything else. Look at alcohol. Alcohol's the legal drug, and people. Last week, hit and run guy was going down Broad Street. Warwick Ave runs into Broad Street. Comes out of a Spanish club, and F-150, 2:00 in the morning, 63 miles an hour, hits him.
Damn.
Guy's drunk. Just relapsed. The
guy driving?
30 years old. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. 30 years old.
Did he live?
No. The guy that came out of the club died.
But the guy who hit him, did he live?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was driving F-150.
So he was the one that relapsed? The driver?
The driver did. Just relapsed.
So now,
now
he spends
going
a minimum of like 20 years.
Yep.
Oh my God.
10 if he's lucky.
Yeah, I mean, New York, it is no joke.
Yeah,
It might be a little more, but man, 30 years old, Jesus
Two
Christ.
kids, that's his life ended.
God.
His life just ended.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and
There's too many stories like that.
There is, and it's funny. Like I grabbed a quick motel in Connecticut on the way up here last night, and I don't know what made me think of this, but I was in the shower, and I'm like, how eerie it is. Like, they find more overdose deaths in motels. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know why it was so eerie. Maybe someone had died in that room or something. And, but that's the end. That's your end. That's your end game. You know what I mean? To be found in a hotel. And that's no joke. It's like, and it's so sad.
It really is.
So sad.
There was remember that song by Digital Underground, Humpty, do the Humpty dance.
Oh yeah.
The leader of that crew, of that group, Shock G, who is very prolific. He was a producer.
Yeah.
He was funny.
Yeah,
you remember the Humpty dance?
Yep.
You remember him? He died of an overdose in a hotel in Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean, that was more. It's just time and time again. But there's something about the hotel, right? Something about
that was that was me when I went and got fucked up. You couldn't find me. You weren't gonna find me. I didn't want to be found. I was gone for 3-4 days at a time when I was married, this and that. I did not want to be found. I wanted to, and it was usually a motel or a hotel. So it's just part of the characteristic.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's. And, that's it's just so sad when that's the end game. I became a director of recovery houses in Rhode Island, and we had 6 recovery houses with a total of 100 beds. And you know, we had an overdose death in one of the houses, and one of the residents actually took a picture of the guy. Not that it was, you know, but I ended up getting the picture, and I'm like, when you think of that, like, here's this kid on a toilet with a needle in his arm, and that's your, you know, legacy.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, you know, it's. But you know, going back to the gym, you know, it's I do. It's half therapy. You know, it's like I never left. So it's. I have a lot of people that come in, and you know,
A lot of the people who are members of your gym in recovery.
some are, yeah,
And I bet it's a huge thing for them. I remember when it took me, I had a few times where there was hiccups. It was hard, you know, getting clean. It was
Yeah.
like, I would tell myself I'm going to do it. It would be 2 weeks. I thought I
know.
had it under control because
Yeah.
I was trying to do it myself.
Oh.
And then it was like dip. And, you know, and then finally, I went to the same program like 3 times. And the third time, I finally got it. But
Yeah.
I remember like the long hours of sleeping, you know, being moody, which
bringing
felt like
your life
forever.
back to normal. That's what it is.
Not
And that-
being able to like have sex, you know, like a bunch of shit
it's-
changed.
Everything changed.
You know, and things that I thought were unmanageable became very, like, I was very, there was a lot of highs and lows, right? There was,
Yeah.
you know, everything was very extreme. And then when I started to mellow out, I was like, oh, a lot of this shit was manageable. A lot of what my everyday shit was
What we
manageable.
made in our head.
Yeah.
How crazy that was.
It was crazy.
And
But I
that's-
remember going to the boxing gym and then working out for like 3 hours.
Yeah. 'cause
You know,
it
like,
overtakes that new addiction.
yeah, and you know, it was so much that I remember one time I was at Mendez Boxing Gym, and I was there for like 4 hours hitting the bag. I might have had a weight vest on, and fucking, you know, resistance
it all back
bands.
in
I'm
one
like,
day.
Yeah, 45-ounce gloves, you know,
Yeah,
whatever. You know,
yeah.
it's so silly.
Yeah.
Punishing myself, right? Sweating.
That's-
And yeah, you know, and peeing blood. Like I was so dehydrated.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I need to slow down on this end too.
Yeah.
Because you see people do that a lot. They become addicted to working out. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't work out, but people have to be careful with any extreme, because I've seen that too.
Yeah.
You know, they can't lose enough weight. You know, they
Yeah.
walk around looking like
Well,
lollipops.
It becomes a new, you know, they were so focused on that one thing. Now they need something else. They need something more chaotic.
Right.
You know, and that's, you know, for me, when it was sex.
Yeah.
You know, you know, getting back to, you know,
So after that rehab,
well, no.
it was all intertwined.
4 years ago, I was working for the recovery housing, and the overdoses. I stopped asking for help. I stopped.
What do
I
you
knew
mean you
it
stop
all.
asking for help for yourself or for the recovery?
My mentors, yeah, recovery.
Oh, so you were on your own.
I was on my own.
So no
I
sponsor?
didn't have a whole. Nobody's watching me.
This 4 years ago.
Yep. And I ended up relapsing. And the overdoses did a job on me. We were losing people left and right.
And relapse to what? Was it like?
Coke and alcohol.
Okay.
You know, and now I had just gotten married. My wife didn't know this, Steve Reid, and scared the shit out of her. And again, I'm in a hotel room, 4 days, you know, and she doesn't know. What does she do? She calls the cops, and now I got a missing persons, you know, missing persons.
How long?
statewide
So
missing
you were
person
clean
thing.
for like 7 years,
7 years,
Yeah.
yeah. And
and then a relapse.
yep.
It's crazy, man. Some people relapse after 50 years.
Yeah,
This is nuts.
You know, and that's just it. But this time, I went to Mississippi for 3 months for rehab, and I had this psychologist basically take my testicles out and tap dance on them on the floor, and she
So tore you a new one.
she challenged me, and you know, so many things were addressed with the you know, the sexual part and
Oh
everything
wow!
else.
So you were
I
peeling
was-
back layers.
Yeah, and even my I had lost my sponsor. He passed away 5 or 6 years ago. Oh, no, it wasn't. No, he passed away. But I lost connection with him. And this man saved my life. So, but, again, the ego shows up. And you don't need these people. Because Stevie doesn't like when people have someone looking over his shoulder. That's the shadow effect. Yeah. That's my demons like to stay in that shadow, and then they'll come. And that's just it. If you don't face them, they'll face your ass. And
that's an interesting point that you say that. I've always liked that that analogy. They like to stay in the shadows. They're always there.
They're there. And they're still there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
It's always like sitting on your shoulder, and if you don't check up on them, and address them or talk them out, or embrace it. Let me tell you something. A week ago, I was alone in the apartment, and I entertained very dark thoughts, and they're thoughts, but they could manifest themselves.
Oh.
So what I would do, I might call you. I might call someone who gets it, and that gets me out of it, because something. So I don't know why I turned Asian real quick. Something. Oh, that was Latin. No, that can't even be the Spanish accent. Sometimes I just it's an urge for whatever, some bullshit, and just talking to a friend gets me out of it. Just saying it out loud, and then starting an artistic project, whether it has to do with stand-up, podcasting, or working out, something, there's so much I could do to maintain the positive lifestyle that I want.
Yeah.
I got a lot of that shit, but every now and then, that ugly head will, turn around and look at me like, hey, come to the dark side, baby. And I'm like, yo,
I told you what kind of day I had yesterday getting here. And that was a formula. Me being alone in a hotel room was a perfect formula for me to fuck up. Mm-hmm. And I didn't call anyone, but I just reconnected with, I have a cousin who's a life coach. And he was part of my recovery also when that 2009. And here's a guy.
How do you feel about life coaches in general?
I think.
Excuse my
if
stomach.
they're
It just growled.
good, I thought it was mine.
We're gonna eat soon.
If they're good, the training behind them, like my cousin can say things, and like I could be calling him the worst, and he'll turn the wording around, and like my thought process of how I looked at it. And that's how I work with my people. It's like, well, you're looking at it all wrong.
Yeah, it's perspective.
It's perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like just what you just said. It's like, you were talking about the little thing that, it was unmanageable. But then somehow you got a different perspective on it. It's like, holy shit, I used to drink over this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a really good life coach can
and a lot of times there's when you get sober, you start to pull these layers back, and if you address the situations that were the catalyst to you drinking, you learn a lot about yourself. They're ugly and they're uncomfortable, but the more you talk about it, the more you talk about it, the more you feel like you're not alone with this shit. A lot of people deal with this.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
A lot.
Most people.
But when we're in our own little
in your head
bubble,
about it,
it's like,
and then it becomes like this
we got
vicious
the worst
pattern.
problems.
Yeah, I've also noticed when I was drinking and doing that, those problems are familiar to me. Drinking and I was like, oh, I feel this way. I feel hungover because I drank last night. My nose is stuffy and I'm irritable because of cocaine.
Comfort zone.
Yeah, right. So it's like I knew the immediate problems, but it wasn't. I didn't want to address the fact that I wasn't reaching my full potential, or the fact that I was insecure about other things, or the fact, like, I always went to the point A is this problem, but there was other things that were going on that I didn't want to address.
No, of course not.
And then when you do, you put them to the side, right?
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Once you eliminate that, everything becomes more manageable.
Yeah.
And you start to like really thrive with your potential, and like it energizes you.
But then even like lately, like one of my big things, and I'll tell the kids, I'll say, one of my big sticklers. They've heard this 1,000 times. It's like, if you're hanging with 5 nitwits, you're the sixth nitwit. Okay, you're only going to succeed is the 5 closest people in your life, and you got to remember that and start hanging with successful people. Because that's what we become. We resonate to that, and it's like I've told people this for so long, and now that I have this gym, like I don't let the tough guys with the ego and this and that. It's like they get shut down real quick. It's like no, you want be humble. But now all of a sudden I have all these professional people in my gym, and I feel odd man out. Like I'm just this boxing gym. But this is what I wanted my whole life. Like if you want to be, I think it was Tony Robbins said, somebody asked him, said, hey, he says, how do I become a millionaire? He says, well, who do you hang with now? He goes, well, people that, they make about $200,000-300,000. He goes, no. He goes, you hang with millionaires. If you want to be a millionaire, you hang with millionaires. And it's the same concept. If you want to be successful, you need to hang with successful people. None of my friends growing up, they were knuckleheads that got me in, I mean, I did it on my own, free will, but they weren't going anywhere. And that's what I push in the gym too. I don't give a shit how tough you are. I want to know what your life is going to, I want to know when this little end game is over of your little boxing thing, what are you going to do with your life? I want you stay in school, go the successful road. And it's so hard now. I mean, child rape is up. These girls in the city of Warwick have gotten sexually assaulted by other teenagers. They get them all, drunk, and it's like,
Yes.
who are raising these kids? Because if my kid ever did that, trust me when I tell you, I'd just be getting out of the joint right about now.
Yeah, and boxing gyms and places like yours acts as a safe haven for that, because your confidence goes up. You get a hell of a fucking workout. A workout that consists of so many different things too. With boxing, I mean, you gotta do so much to be good at it. You gotta jump rope, you gotta hit the bag, you gotta shadow box, you gotta hit the mitts. There's so much that you can do. You can do the conditioning aspect of it, hitting a tire. You gotta listen. You gotta make sure you're coordinated. It's so challenging and really strips you to bare wood, and it builds you up, man. So it's something that all those things that you learn at the gym could be applied into everyday life. This a lot of shit that you think will ruin your day rolls off your shoulder. If I got a good workout in, the biggest asshole could come in contact with me, and I won't let him zap any of my energy.
And you're too tired to do anything else.
Exactly. But yeah, I felt that energy when I was in your gym. And I think, it says a lot about the person you are. I don't think that happened by accident. I think, you kind of had the soul about you that lends itself to, people wanting to feeling, empowered, not only by your story, but your energy, and it's a great gym. I mean, I can't wait to visit again.
I can't wait for you guys to come back.
Yeah, man.
We'll have to hook you up with Parada and, get on one of his comedy shows.
Yeah, for sure. What one thing I was thinking of, and sometime maybe in the near future, a recovery show may not be a bad idea. Like if if there was an audience that would be interested in that. Comics do it all the time. I'll be so down to do a show like that.
Yeah. It's it's funny you say, like, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon.
What, like recovery shows?
Well, not so much that, but just even the advocacy part. We have what they call Rye Cares in Rhode Island. It's
what's that?
Rhode Island. It's the biggest advocacy place in Rhode Island. The director of it is smokes weed.
Yeah, I mean,
what I mean. So that basically, and I don't know her deal. Maybe I don't know, but that's not the person I want to follow. In the recovery world. Rhode Island's become so damn liberal, it's pathetic. The police have their hands tied. The mayor of Providence it's so bad right now. The cops aren't even going on calls.
Why aren't they going on calls?
Well, think about it. You wake up, every morning and you go to work and you don't know if you're gonna either lose your job, get shot, or end up in jail. We just had a big incident.
Well, as a cop, you saying?
Yeah. We just had a big incident. The cops went to a call in Providence, and 2 houses are going at it. They're literally fighting each other, and the cops are all lined up on the other side of the street. And one of the cops finally said, "We got to do something." So,
when did this happen?
A couple of weeks ago, and one of the cops, regardless, he's spraying the pepper spray, and he yells, "Oh, you want some more?" Which, okay, you know what? You're amped up. I don't give a shit. When I'm in a jam, trust me, I'm calling you everything. But you're amped up. And, that got put on video. And another cop had got caught saying, he said, well, yeah, the he, she is starting it and this and that. And you know what I mean?
It wasn't transgender.
There's nothing,
sensitive,
nothing, so, and that's what I mean. So he was going to get put up on the civil board, and he said, screw it. He's got 25 years old. And he was a cop's cop. He took care of his guys. I didn't know him personally, but he really did. And the other kid got suspended. So the funny thing was, somebody put a GoFundMe for that cop. They raised $20,000 for his 5-day suspension. And the GoFundMe emailed the person and said, this is against our standards, and where they have to refund all the money.
What was it? Why was it against the standards?
Well, here's the funny thing. They let the GoFundMe for the kid's attorney, they let that go because he started one for the kid that got locked up. But because it's a liberal, it's Facebook.
There has to be, there's probably a loophole with the fact that he has a career. He has money or something.
I thought of that too. And the thing was, he was going to give it to charity anyways. He's probably going to take out what he lost for the suspension. And,
how long was he suspended for?
I think 5 days.
Yeah.
But you get a rip like that. That's what I mean. I mean, you're doing what, and I said it too. I said, why? So if you're screwed if you do or you don't. If you let the houses just kill each other, then the cops didn't do their job.
What was the quarrel over?
I don't know.
That's pretty funny. Like 2 houses of people just fighting. Oh, it's like this neighbors.
It's Providence. Yeah, neighbors. Like they just hate each other. And
that's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wild. But that's what we deal with.
But but I thought about that because there was like going back to the recovery shows. They said that those shows could be tough too. You know what I'm saying?
We actually have a DJ, a radio station.
But you know what I'm saying? Like people were like fresh out of recovery.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to hear that shit.
I know.
But I've done them and I have fun doing them.
Yeah.
And because it's like it's therapeutic for me. I connect with those audiences, and it's always But it may not always be that way. But I always thought that that could be something that I would be interested in doing. More of those shows. I do stand up across the country for everybody, right? Yeah. But like specifically, for people in recovery.
Yeah.
But that's not something that you would advocate.
I do catch them here and there. It depends who's on. So many of these people, what
don't you like about it? I feel like you have a reservation about it. So you've been to a comedy recovery show?
Not a comedy recovery.
That's
show.
what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm talking about stand-up comedy. Because I noticed right off the bat, you look like you have reservations.
I didn't know what it.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about. Oh, that'd be a great idea.
Yeah. What did you think? Because I felt resistance. I was like,
no, that's a good idea. I just misinterpreted.
What kind of show did you think?
I thought you were talking just like a talk show with recovery.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's what we're doing here at the DBS podcast.
Yeah, that's been done.
But it's sprinkled with dirtbag shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like a stand-up comedy show.
Yeah, that'd be
know?
something.
You know.
Actually, it's Parada's putting on a clinic in Rhode Island. It's $250 do a comedy clinic to become a comedian.
Oh, so he does he's a comedy school.
Yeah, it's like a comedy school.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if it's a whole weekend.
So if anybody out there in the New England area, you trying to, get some stage time, get, classes in order. That's the way I did it. I did it through Caroline's.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did like an 8-week course because I didn't know how to get started. And I did 8 weeks of stand-up comedy. And then I did a graduation show. So while you were getting your GED, I was doing my first joke at Caroline's in front of my mother. And like 300 people. There was like 300 people.
Caroline's?
Caroline's is like 50th on Broadway. And then the bug bit me, man. I didn't stop doing stand-up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve.
I have a lawyer. My lawyer. He said anything you say today, just make sure the what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, you guys.
Just make sure the statue of.
Oh yeah. The limitation is done.
Yeah.
You were talking like a cop, man. You didn't really like. You didn't get too dirty. You're like nah.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
There's some things.
You don't got to give me the gruesome details. I like details though.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get too in.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Sometimes I'll go overboard. Like I'll talk to my wife about something. She says, is this too much? I was like, what?
Yeah, that's my wife what they used to call in work.
But not on the podcast. But I talk to her about.
I know.
regular
Yeah,
shit.
me too. It's like my wife's sitting there like, really? Are you like fucking rated R movie right here? Yeah,
Exactly.
It's like, sorry, hon, too much information.
So Steve, I'm so happy we crossed each other's lives, man.
Yeah.
You're my man, and I've known you for 2 weeks, but I feel like I've known you for years, and I'm so happy that you opened up, that you're willing to share here on the show.
Appreciate it.
I had a great time at your gym. It left such an impression on me. And you know what's interesting about two guys like me, you and I, that politically and a lot of different ways we think differently.
Yeah.
But we have the same soul. And that's what the fuck matters in life.
You can't buy that.
Yeah, you can't buy that. We have the same soul. We move around the same. And right off the bat, like I just knew there was something about you I liked, man. I was like, I would like to be around this guy a little more. So that's why when I went to the gym that first day with Chris, I went the following day.
I took neither one of you was gonna make it because I tortured the shit out of you guys that first day.
Yeah, I had a good first day with you, and then I went to the second. The second class.
The circuit.
Yeah, we did the circuit class, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when I invited you to do the podcast, you obliged. I was like, yes. And we even spoke on the phone a couple of times, and man, you're just a cool motherfucker, man. I'm just happy that we connected, and I appreciate you taking a long ass drive out here, getting lost, and not relapsing in the motel, because that would have been awful. Actually, it would have been crazy if we would have to do the podcast from your cell phone on Zoom.
Yeah, from the joint.
Yeah, you would have been able to do it from the joint, given your relationship with cops. Like, I got this.
That's another thing, though. You know what? It's like I ended up going back to work in the prison that I actually served time.
Oh wow!
You know, that's crazy.
That is wild.
That's very freeing to walk out of that place.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome, man. So check it out. If you ever find yourself in a New England area, Steel Curtain Boxing. I mean, this guy's a decorated amateur, did pro fights, and his gym is dope, man. It's gritty. The energy in there is fire. I mean, I had a great time. I can't wait to revisit. I might just go just to hit the gym up, not even be out there for work. Yeah.
That'd be good.
And man.
All right.
And that's our show. Please, I want to make sure you guys comment, subscribe. It helps. I'm going to have to look close to the camera for this shit. You guys are not doing enough. I'm doing a lot here. You see that there's a sweat bead right here. I'm spitting when I'm talking. I'm getting guests that drive in, get lost for your entertainment. So what I'm saying is, guys, this is built together. So subscribe, comment, share. Don't be shy. Get the notifications on. All that shit matters. It helps the podcast grow, and we're growing. We're growing like trees. Okay, and we're giving you fresh air, all right? I want you guys to stay positive. Do something good with your life. Don't be a dirtbag, all right? Every day matters. I love y'all. Peace. And to the next one. Steve Reid, we out of here. Appreciate you, brother.